I would just like to discuss how our negative thinking with our positive thinking can be very beneficial at times. And as a disclaimer, I'm not a big fan of positive psychology. However, I am a fan of people being resilient. Some negative thinking is good because it helps us shape our worldview and our beliefs, and we have to evaluate and discern those negative thoughts, whether we are thinking those negative thoughts out of our own thinking, or are we is it just negative thoughts that come up from out of nowhere, or is it negative thoughts that are actually coming from the person itself? And there's a lot of other different situations where the negative thinking is good and actually could be positive. Now, today I want to talk about my testimony that I shared. That injury that happened to me was a very bad injury, and all of the guys that were out on mission with me, they all commented, and one of the guys said that just like it was yesterday. And so they were behind us and they thought everyone was dead. Well, actually, I was rendered unconscious, and even after I came to consciousness, there was other people who commented and said, "I seen your eyes and you did not look good." And so from that blast, there was a lot of things that affected my body and mostly my brain because of that blast. Because not only did I hit my head, and not only did I get the effects from the blast, but I also got the shock waves or the blast waves going through. And the blast waves, they penetrate through anything or anyone that is near. So that is when I went to Walter Reed, at that time there was not any information, or not much information, on the effects of traumatic brain injury and blast injuries. And so most cases, and I will grant them this, most cases of people who get into a car wreck or fall or something like that, they're able to bounce back pretty quickly. The brain heals quick. And so I had the false hope, I was given false hope that I would get 100% better or close to it. So that kind of positive thinking, I mean, it was just very, I thought, great, I would love to be back to 100%. But as it turns out, that wasn't the case. I still, after that happened in 2007, October of 2007 to be exact, and now it is 9 years later, and I still have some issues from it. Migraines, memory problems, sometimes speaking problems, and just word finding and stuff like that. But y'all don't catch it in the video because I do editing, of course. So y'all don't get all of that out there in YouTube land. So I kept thinking positively about it. And so therefore, with the positive thinking, I kept thinking, oh yes, I'm gonna get better. I kept working and doing occupational therapy, all kinds of speech therapy, and all kinds of therapy. I had to go through a lot of therapy. And so when therapy ended, I was a little better. And even now, as I stated, 9 years later, I still have problems. And now, positive, someone giving you positive information, making you think positively, that's a negative. So because when the positive doesn't come through and there's a negative at the end, therefore you are almost as bad as you were in the very beginning. Job 30:26 says, when I expected good, then evil came. When I waited for light, darkness came. And what I'm saying is that when someone gives you when someone gives you a prognosis of positivity and it turns out that it was wrong, they have given you false hope. And when you have that false hope, then just as Job says, darkness came. I expected light at the end of the tunnel, but it was just darkness. However, we will discuss more about being resilient, even in those situations as this series goes. But at the very beginning, I promised that I would share my testimony a little bit and share, also stated that I would share why I got into counseling, why I got one of my master's degrees in counseling, and why I love counseling people, and above all, why I love teaching people to be resilient, because the fact of the matter is we need to learn to be resilient. So really, resiliency isn't positive psychology. What it really is, learning to deal with your adversities, because adversities will come. And see, that's another problem with positive thinking. Positive thinking leads people to, when it is an abundance of positive thinking, when you're always thinking there's sunshine and rainbows, and when adversity hits and there's not sunshine and there's no rainbow out, but that causes disaster when those negative times hits. And so that is why I do not like positive psychology. In one instance, resilience does come from positive psychology. However, we know that negative things, adversities, are going to happen in our lives. So we have to be ready for those, because we have to learn, first of all, to discern what negative thoughts are going in. Is it our own thinking, or is it someone else leading us to those thoughts? Or is the negative thought actually a good thought that's keeping us from wrecking our beliefs, our whole worldview? And then we also have to discern whether those positive thoughts are even good. So there are bad negative thoughts, there are good negative thoughts, there are bad positive thoughts, and they are good positive thoughts. And as easy as that may sound, a lot of people do not grasp that. Some people may say, well, if I wasn't depressed, I wouldn't be thinking so negatively, when opposite is the truth. The truth of the matter is, if you wasn't thinking so negatively, you wouldn't be so depressed. Or there's some kind of negative behavior there. So we have to learn to look inside ourselves and learn to discern in our minds, and this is really a spiritual journey that your life is, that you're walking along because you have to be able to look within yourself, and you have to look beyond your situations right now. And not only that, you need to be able to think positively when the sun is out, and you have to be able to bounce back from the times when the darkness is out. So with that being said, work on discerning your thoughts and think about what Job said. Again, he said, when I expected good, then evil came. When I waited for light, darkness came. And we must be able to discern, just like Job did. Well, I was promised light, and I kept thinking light or positivity, and then I hit darkness. So I'm able to discern that. So now I have to be able to move forward past this negative situation, this adversity. And this is what we will start to discuss more about, is resilience-based thinking, being able to bounce back from your situations and getting through those dark nights of the soul. And those dark nights of the soul is something more we'll also talk about on this channel, because I believe the dark nights are what build us and shape us who we are, even though it's negative times. And that is something we will discuss later in this series as well. So with that being said, please subscribe, share it with someone who you think might need this video. We will see you next time.